Assalamu alaikum and welcome. I am Salih Khan and you are watching new episode of Ambassador Lounge where diplomacy, strategy and global affairs meet thoughtful conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, our today's program is focused on Bangladesh. Bangladesh, with a population of 173 million people, GDP of around $450 billion, and economic growth of around 6%, is an important South Asian country. It has great importance for Pakistan, and in the recent days, there have been several changes that have taken place. These are very important in the regional context as well as for Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, Bangladesh is heading towards a critical electoral moment after a year of unprecedented political upheaval. Following the 2024 mass uprising that ended Sheikh Hasina's long rule, the country is now governed by an interim administration led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus. National elections scheduled for February 2026 are being presented as a pathway back to democratic normalcy. However, the process remains deeply contested. The exclusion of Awami League, the return of long marginalized parties, proposed constitutional reforms under the so-called July Charter, and heightened security and regional tensions and stability. As Bangladesh prepares to vote, the stakes are high, not only for its democratic future, but also for regional politics in South Asia. We have today with us to discuss this situation Ambassador Ayaz Muhammad Khan and Ambassador Amjad Sher Mohammad. Both have outstanding and distinguished diplomatic career. My first question, Ayaz, would be, what factors led to the installation of interim government under Muhammad Yunus and how it shaped the electoral roadmap?
Well, thank you, Salik, for your question. As you know that Sheikh Hasina, who was the leader of Awami League, was ruling Bangladesh for 15 years consecutively. The elections that were held intermittently after 5 years, each 5 years, they were considered as highly rigged, and there were questions raised about the transparency of the electoral process that was held at that time. After ruling for 15 years, Sheikh Hasina had started acting as an autocrat, and she was accused not only by the regional countries, but the international opinion was of that she was treating her opponents with an iron fist, and there were extrajudicial killings. There was zero tolerance for dissent as far as Sheikh Hasina was concerned. And she was taking all short-term, mid-term, long-term decisions. And it was also perceived by the masses in Bangladesh that she had drifted too close to India, and her policies were primarily India-centric. This obviously was not acceptable for a large section of Bangladeshi population. However, when a small, you know that we know, we have talked about it in the past as well, that a student movement, it started as a benign movement against certain allocations of job quotas to the so-called liberation people who participated in 1971 liberation war, as they say it, for their descendants. This was a benign movement, as I said, but Sheikh Hasina resorted to disproportionate use of force, and she was accused of ordering the police and law enforcement agencies of using lethal force against the peaceful demonstrators, primarily the students. And this certainly triggered the whole thing, and civil society people had also started sympathizing with the student movement, and resultantly she was thrown out of office, and she flew to, she was actually flown to India, where she is still residing, and she has sought asylum there. Naturally, the vacuum which was created after her ouster was to be filled, and the establishment in Bangladesh, they thought that it was probably the Nobel laureate, as you mentioned, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, was the right person to steer the country towards a situation where next elections could be held. And now it has been almost 1.5 years that the interim government has been in place, and as you mentioned, that the elections have been now are going to take place on 12th of February this year in 2026, alongside a referendum on the July Charter. So the people of Bangladesh will be actually voting for not only electing the next government, but also deciding about the wide-scale reforms that have been contemplated by the interim government, for the constitution, as well as the next government that is going to come to the office.
Amjad, what are the salient points of July Charter?
Well, there are 4 points of the July Charter, because it came into being after when the student-led protests and uprising. Is the aftermath of that. It came into being there. One is the executive, reducing the executive authority. Second is reforming the elections commissions. Third is the reducing the law enforcement agencies, like we can say the establishment, into the government affairs. And four more important is the economic recovery. So these 4 items are there. But I would also like to complement with Ayaz's explanation of the background situation in the revolution that took place in August 2024 in Bangladesh. One was the economic situation, which was devastating at that time. The other was the massive corruption in all institutions of the government. So that also...
As far as Bangladesh economy was concerned, it was going with the speed of 6% per year in the last decade. So I don't think so that economic growth or economy was the main reason for this
It was all
trouble.
on papers. All the garment export industries, they in fact are stitching units. Like Cambodia, all the international brands have set up their stitching units in Bangladesh and Myanmar and Cambodia, and their job is to only stitch the garments as per the order of the international brands, and then export it. So their imports, especially the food items and other items, were more than what they were exporting, and they would show the export of the garments as part of their export, which was not in real terms.
There are a lot of... Yeah,
sorry. I would like to add to what Ambassador Amjad has said. Actually, the reforms that have been contemplated, and that have been included for the referendum are quite far-reaching, as far as Bangladesh is concerned. First of all, is that the next parliament will be bicameral legislature, which was so far, it was unicameral, and the next one, if approved by the people, majority of the people, it's going to be bicameral. And then there is going to be a limit on the number of terms for the elected prime ministers for future. There will be only 10 years that an individual, a person, a politician can be elected as Prime Minister of Bangladesh. The third one is that it has been contemplated that a balance of power between the presidency and the Prime Minister. There have been certain powers which have now been conceived to be vested in the office of the President. Such as appointment of Chairman Energy Commission, such as the Governor State Bank of Bangladesh, etc. So this is one thing. Second thing is that when you ask that the economy was flourishing, it was developing quite fast. The thing is that it is true that Bangladesh has been consistently progressing at a rate of above 6% per annum, but the dividends were not evenly distributed, to the common man, to the population. It was a kind of a crony capitalism, if I may say it, because the resentment of the people was that certain licenses, for import and export for big businesses were given to the party people or the people who were sympathetic to Sheikh Hasina, and also that certain favors, out of turn favors were given to certain individuals.
Let us come to the election again.
Okay.
How does the exclusion of Awami League affect the legitimacy and competitiveness of upcoming national election? Because everybody in the region as well as in India and Pakistan are now focusing on the elections.
Well, certainly, Salik, let's not ignore the fact that Awami League is a big party and it has been disbanded by the interim government and has been barred from participating in the forthcoming elections. Certainly it raises questions, there is no doubt about it. European Union has talked about it, that without the inclusion of a major party, the elections be called inclusive? It is to be seen by the international community. We are no judges here, it is an internal matter of Bangladesh as to which party should participate in the elections or not. But our objective as Pakistan would be that whoever is elected by the people, the majority of the people, and whichever party forms the government in Dhaka, how we are going to carry forward the goodwill that has been generated recently during the rule of interim government in Bangladesh. That will be the major challenge for Pakistan, as to how we shall do business
as
with the
a
government.
friend of Bangladesh, what would you advise and how would you see exclusion of Awami League in the forthcoming election?
Well, Awami League earlier had also excluded other political parties, like the BNP had in 2014 had not participated, boycotted the elections. Similarly, Jamaat-e-Islami in 2013 had also been banned by the Awami League government under Hasina Wajid because the Jamaat-e-Islami manifesto was found as against the secular constitution of Bangladesh. So I think it is, I would say that exclusiveness, excluding a political party should not be the priority, but since the Bangladesh International Criminal Court has imposed, has awarded a death sentence to Hasina Wajid and many of her colleagues, so I think
But that is a fact that Awami League has its roots among
It
the
has
people.
its roots amongst the public, but at the same time, it has also been seen as pro-India and also against the constitution of, against the norms and the thinking and the
You know, when you
aspirations of the
talk
people.
about Hasina as a pro-Indian, there are people who say that Bangladesh National Party of former Prime Minister, late Khalda Zia, was pro-Pakistan. So,
Well, this is a general impression in Bangladesh that either they are pro-Pakistan or anti-India. There are two are pro-India. These are two political parties, main political parties, which had ruled over Bangladesh since independence. But now the situation of excluding the Awami League from election is the main reason that the party leader obviously has been awarded the death sentence, and she is not in, and they are also not participating. And the Awami League is now trying to protest against these things, and they say that there is going to be unrest and protests and violence in case they are not allowed to participate in the election. But let's see what happens.
how prepared is Election Commission in terms of logistics, voter lists, and institutional credibility after years of
The election commissioner,
disputed elections?
Nasiruddin, has announced that they are fully prepared to hold the elections free and fair. The voter list has been updated, and new voters have been included in the list. Logistics arrangements have all been made. Security and law enforcement agencies, military will also be deployed to ensure free and fair and violence-free elections. But there will definitely be, as it's a South Asian culture, there are going to be some kind of protests, some kind of violence, some kind of disturbances. But I don't think so that the election should be stopped from this kind of small protests or violences occurring all across the
Salik,
country.
my hunch is different. My hunch is that during the 15 years rule of Sheikh Hasina, the society was already polarized. There were people who were resentful against Sheikh Hasina's policies, rule, and there were people, of course, supporting her. In whatever policies she was pursuing. But the thing is that once a big party which has deep roots, in the society, in the populace, has been stopped from participating into elections, and elections, let's say, they take place, they take peacefully. But do you think that whichever party will be elected, with the exclusion of Awami League, will it cement the society together, or it is going to further polarize, deepen the polarization in the Bangladeshi polity? My hunch is that even if the elections are held and they are held peacefully, the future government will face tremendous challenges, because first of all, it will have to prove its legitimacy, that why a fair election, whether a fair election was held or not, whether it was truly a party which won the majority votes, in the absence of Awami League. And also that do you think that Awami League supporters will accept the election results peacefully? And my hunch is that it is going to result in perhaps further more chaos and more unrest in Bangladesh, God forbid.
My question to both of you: what role are the BNP, Jamaat Islami, and emerging political parties likely to play in redefining Bangladesh's political landscape?
These are the three contesting parties in the upcoming elections in Bangladesh, and this National Citizens Party is the student-led party which had held uprisings against the Hasina Wajid government and removed her from power. and they have yet to stabilize its electoral positions in the Bangladeshi society. BNP is obviously an old, party in the and had was the rival party of Awami League. Jamaat Islami was also an old party. But one thing is that it has been like in Pakistan, there has never been an Islamic party winning the election, even in Bangladesh. Jamaat Islami for the first time is going to be seen and projected as the second in lead after the BNP. The future prospect of the elections are going to be two scenarios. One is the electoral alliances between the parties. BNP has now detached itself from its alliance with Jamaat Islami, and it is going to go solo in the election contest. The other two parties, National Citizens Party and the Jamaat Islami, they have now announced alliance, electoral alliance, and they have announced that whichever party wins more seats, the Prime Minister will be from their party.
Saleh,
So-
Ayaz, what is your assessment?
Okay.
Which party is likely to take lead in the forthcoming elections?
well, so far it seems that BNP will have a cakewalk. It will have perhaps secure its majority votes in the parliament. But the thing is that going back to what Amjad was saying, this time round, Bangladesh National Party has jettisoned Jamaat Islami. We remember that in 2001, Jamaat Islami was forming a coalition with BNP to form the majority in the parliament. And in last 15 years or so, when Awami League was at the helm of affairs and BNP was brutally sidelined, its supporters, its politicians were sent behind bars. There were extrajudicial killings of opponents as well as accused by international community against Sheikh Hasina. This time round, Bangladesh National Party has sensed that the sentiment not only in the region but all over the world has changed, because when Jamaat Islami was part of the coalition with BNP from 2001 to 2006, it was the propaganda was perhaps the narrative forming by India was that BNP was espousing the same ideology as of Islamic extremist parties, i.e. Jamaat Islami and others. So BNP this time has decided to not to taint its reputation, as an Islamist or perhaps extremist party. Therefore, and also it is also sensing that the ground is now favorable for them to win the elections. Therefore, they do not need the support of any other party. The interesting thing is that Jamaat Islami has formed an electoral alliance with National Citizens Party. National Citizens Party unfortunately does not have any ideology, it does not have any economic program, it does not have any social program. They led the uprising against the oppressive rule of Sheikh Hasina. But how Jamaat Islami and NCP are going to find a common ground, how they are going to join their policies together, if at all they win the elections, and form a government, will be an interesting thing to see. But so far, I think that BNP is poised to win the elections in Bangladesh.
Well, I have a different opinion as against about this projection of BNP. BNP may have a sympathy vote because Khalida Zia, the former Prime Minister, she passed away on
Recently
30th
passed away.
December. That is one. But BNP at the same time also remained out of power, and her son, Tariq Rahman, remained in exile for 17 years. So he had no public connections. That goes against him as a negative point for them. At the same time, National Citizen Party was behind the removal of, they organized the uprising and was behind the removal of Hasina Wajid. At the same and also Jamaat Islami faced the brunt of Hasina Wajid was burned. Some of her leaders were, hanged because of their alliances or pro-Pakistani sentiments. There are also sentiments, vote or sympathy sentiments for these two parties. It has yet to be seen, because I think anyway there is going to be a coalition government, which I presume is going to be a coalition government in Bangladesh. And maybe all these three parties put together and they say, let's have a coalition-led government of all the parties and run the election for the government for next 5 years, so as to put in the reforms. Those July Charter reforms, which are, as I have mentioned, is like.
With the dismissal of Hasina Wajid, Pakistan and Bangladesh have come closer to each other. This has another dimension, that China, Pakistan and Bangladesh are also forming a sort of grouping. How do you see the future of this three-country alliance?
Well, first of all, we have to bear in mind that Chinese leadership, on whose initiative this was decided that these three countries should come closer to each other, and form a kind of a tripartite bloc or something like that. It has been repeatedly emphasized, not only by the Chinese leadership, but Pakistani leaders as well as Bangladeshi leadership has also mentioned that this is something not an alliance of security alliance or a defense pact, among the three countries. It is primarily focused on cooperation in the field of trade and economics, agriculture, IT sector, etc. So India should not unnecessarily feel threatened, or concerned about this. But the thing is that during Sheikh Hasina's rule, the Bangladesh had put all its eggs, in India's basket, and their policy was primarily India-centric, which obviously unfazed the Chinese leadership. And Chinese leadership had clearly mentioned it, to Sheikh Hasina also when she visited before her ouster in the same year, 2024, to China. This certainly, the change of the government in Bangladesh is a salutary thing, for both Pakistan and China. And Pakistan should make all the efforts to carry forward the momentum, the goodwill that has been generated in last 1.5 years, without overdoing things. We should not be seen as doing something in terms of defense and security which will unnecessarily raise concerns in New Delhi. And I think that our focus would be to overcome the historical baggage that we have, we have been carrying for the last 50 or 55 years or so, to impress upon the young generation in Bangladesh that Pakistan is their friend. We have a bright future together, and the bright future certainly lies in a symbiotic, mutually beneficial economic cooperation.
China, India, Singapore and Japan are Bangladesh's 4 top import sources. How long Bangladesh would resist keeping India away from its influence?
Certainly not. Look, the geopolitical situation is there, the geography is there, which cannot be changed. Bangladesh is surrounded by India from 3 sides. It has more than 4,000 kilometers long border with India. India has been their largest trading partner, although the trade imbalance is there, it is in favor of India. And Bangladeshi people have been visiting India, for various purposes, not only tourism, but also for medical treatment, and also for business, for business purposes as well. India is the largest trading partner of Bangladesh.
Partners.
And now China is coming very close to being the second, or perhaps it is the second.
It is number one.
biggest trading partner now of Bangladesh. Bangladesh government is now trying to perhaps slowly de-link itself from India. The dependency, on India has been felt quite strongly in the Bangladeshi populace, and the government is also thinking that they should diversify, they should have more options, and that's why China is now being seen as perhaps a bigger power, economic power as well as military power. It is supplying arms to Bangladesh as well. So that's how the situation looks, and I feel that future
Ambassador Hayaz, how do you see the future of relationship between Pakistan and Bangladesh in post-electoral situation?
That's an important question. It is like crystal ball gazing. We have to see as to how the newly elected government is reacting to the geopolitical situation in the region. Whether the same warmth that has been generated, as I said, with the interim government, will it be carried forward by the future government in Bangladesh? If it is so, then we should also reciprocate. But I think it is we have to be slow and cautious. We should not be over enthusiastic, in moving forward with Bangladesh, because there are certain thorny issues which are intractable, particularly the apology factor, whether the future government is going to press hard on that. If they hinge their foreign policy vis-a-vis Pakistan in terms of the sticky points between the two countries, then certainly it will be a difficult ride, for Pakistan.
Amjad, what is your view on this?
Well, in my view, the current caretaker advisor, Muhammad Yunus, stated that the elections in Bangladesh will give birth to a new Bangladesh. And let's see, there is a tremendous bonhomie, pleasant feelings, good wishes for the people of Pakistan by the people of Bangladesh. I hope this spirit will continue and will be maintained by the new government, whichever party wins the elections.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador Ayaz and Ambassador Amjad Sher have discussed the political situation, the current political situation in Bangladesh. They have also hinted towards Pakistan-Bangladesh relation in the post-electoral situation. Currently, Pakistan and Bangladesh have come closer to each other, and new regional dimensions are also in place. We hope that in the coming days, Pakistan and Bangladesh relations will not only strengthen, but would also strengthen the regional linkages between the two countries. Please do not forget to subscribe to Ambassador's Lounge. With these words, I would conclude today's program.